Create a welt pocket. To begin, be sure to transfer the markings from your pattern for the placement of the welt. Take the interfaced welt piece and fold lengthwise right sides together, sew the ends of the welt at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Clip the corners and turn right side out. Push the corners out with a blunt object such as a screwdriver, retracted mechanical pencil, or a small stick. Doing this will ensure a sharp corner to your welt. Locate the markings for the placement of your welt. Place the welt at the markings and pin. Baste in place. Be sure the welt matches the markings in the center to keep it level. Trace your pocket patterns onto pocketing material. Cut out your pockets. Note the size difference in the upper pocket and the lower pocket. The upper pocket is longer than the lower pocket. Arrange the upper pocket above the welt line and the lower pocket below the welt line. The raw edges will meet on the line. The sides will extend 3/4 inches beyond the marking. Be sure the pocketing is centered over the welt. Feel the edge where the welt is located beneath the pocket. Make a mark 1/16 inch inward from the edge of the welt. Put a pin through the marking and peel back the pocketing to be sure that only a tiny amount of the welt extends beyond the marking. When you are satisfied with this marking, repeat for the other side. Make a mark on the upper pocketing, even with the mark on the lower pocketing. These marks will locate the beginning and end of your stitching. Pin the pocketing in place. Sew the lower pocketing to the garment 1/4 inch from the center welt line, beginning and ending at the marks. Inspect the stitching to ensure that only 1/16 inch of the welt is showing past the stitching end mark. Prepare to sew the upper pocketing. Check the markings on the upper pocketing and remark them if necessary to compensate for any shifting during the sewing process. Sew the upper pocketing 1/4 inch from the center welt line, beginning and ending at the markings. You can use a straight pin to make sure that your markings are even top to bottom. Check your stitching lines to be sure they are the same length, same distance from the center, and stop at the same place on the ends. Peel back the pocket edges to check for evenness. Inspect the back of the garment and check the consistency of the width between the lines, and the lengths should be exactly the same. On the front, trim away the thread tails. Pull up the lower pocketing and check the width of the welt for consistency. On the back, slit the garment between the stitching lines, stopping 1/2 inch from the ends and cutting diagonally to the stitching line ends. Be sure that you do not cut the welt or the pocketing during this process. Push the pocketing to the inside through the slit. Turn the triangles at the ends to the inside of the garment and press the seam allowances of the upper pocketing open. Adjust your pocket to make sure it's even. Pull the pocketing layers together evenly on the inside of the garment. With the garment pulled away from the pocket edges, flatten the triangle out against the pocketing layers. The pocket ends will be closed by stitching the base of the triangle to the pocketing layers as shown. Backstitch over the triangle base, taking care that no stitches are placed into the garment fold. Continue to sew the pocket closed all the way around. The seam allowances at the sides are 3/4 inch. The seam allowance at the bottom of the pocket can be sewn at 1/2 inch if desired to allow for a deeper pocket. Your pocket is now closed. Check the corners to ensure that they are closed and even. Remove any visible basting threads. You may sew the ends of the welt up by hand or by machine.